fourth week of testimony in Lori-Vallow-Daybell's murder trial began with a big piece of evidence. The prosecution says links Vallow to the deaths of one of her kids, JJ. Vallow is charged with murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and grand theft in the deaths of JJ and her other child, Tylee Ryan. She's also charged with conspiracy and theft in the death of her husband's late wife, Tammy Daybell, which is why we have Abby Davis joining us right now with a breakdown of what happened in court. And it seems like we've seen a lot or heard a lot of DNA evidence lately.
Well, Brian, we actually didn't hear much about DNA until last Thursday, but since then we have heard a significant amount. 3 critical witnesses testified today. One of those witnesses was a DNA analyst who looked at a piece of hair found on adhesive around JJ's body. For the first time during her murder trial, a witness linked DNA evidence to Lori-Vallow-Daybell.
This is a biological material that makes each person unique.
That's DNA analyst Keely Coleman talking. She said police sent her a piece of hair from an adhesive wrapped around JJ Vallow's body when he was found in Chad Daybell's backyard. Coleman matched the sample to Lori.
The probability of randomly selecting an unrelated individual with that partial DNA profile is 1 in 71 billion.
Meaning there's little likelihood the hair belongs to someone else. After Coleman, FBI investigator Rick Wright testified.
Did you become involved in a search for JJ Vallow and Tylee Ryan?
Yes.
Wright talked about tracing Lori's brother Alex Cox's device in September and October 2019. Based on Alex and Lori's phone records, Wright believes Tylee went back to her mom's apartment after they all visited Yellowstone on September 8th.
That was our new point in our timeline that we needed to scrutinize our last known location for her.
The next morning, Alex's device hit at Chad's property near the pet cemetery where Tylee's remains were found burned and buried. As we learned last week, Wright confirmed Alex's phone went back and forth between his apartment and Lori's apartment the day JJ was last seen on September 22nd, as well as to Chad's property the morning of the 23rd.
At 9:56, there's a GPS data point back by a pond that's on the property,
close to where investigators found JJ's body. Utah Chief Medical Examiner Eric Christensen also took the stand. Christensen went over Tammy Daybell's autopsy in December 2019.
We determined her cause of death to be the result of asphyxia.
Christensen said he didn't find any suspicious drugs, poison, or chemicals in Tammy's system, but there was some bruising on her body.
Bruises on her right arm, left arm, and on her left chest.
He said those bruises show Tammy was restrained. I spoke with forensic DNA expert Tiffany Roy earlier about the significance of today's testimony, specifically the sample matching Lori's DNA profile. Roy says DNA analysts should never say with 100% certainty a piece of evidence is directly linked to someone. That's why experts say evidence, like a strand of hair, matched a DNA profile and not that it was from someone specific. Roy also says hair transfers easily, so this hair may or may not indicate the person it belonged to was involved in JJ's death.
So you have to ask yourself, is there a reasonable explanation for the presence of this on that duct tape? Could it have been on the child's clothing? Could it have been her roll of duct tape taken from her home? These are relevant questions that put that evidence in context because that's just the nature of hair evidence.
Roy says she wished the defense asked more pointed questions about how the hair could have possibly gotten on the tape, but that's likely because those questions would have been considered speculation. The defense attorney mainly asked technical questions about DNA and the likelihood the hair matched Lori's profile. Roy says whether the hair belongs to Lori is really up to the jury to decide. The defense could call their own witnesses after the state wraps up its case. That means, Brian, they could possibly call their own DNA expert, or they could call back the one who testified today to try and dispute evidence.
And this case is really moving along on the prosecution side, but I think it's worth reiterating the not 100% sure this hair belongs to them, but also yes. 1 in 71 billion. It's pretty good odds.
Exactly right.
All right, thank you very much, Abby.